Alright, welcome back. And in this video we're going to meet some mushroom people and deal with a giant land shark. So we'll split the party and grab just the main character and run to the edge of this
Fungal spores
dock.
are everywhere.
Before we jump down, we're going to shoot these mushroom growths. They can cause confusion if you're in the cloud. We'll cast Featherfall and just jump down.
That's curious.
So pretty much the same thing over here. We're just going to blast some of the torch stalks. And then wait till the cloud clears off. And we can see that there's a welcome party full of the myconids just kind of waiting for us. We want to jump pretty far out into the center, so to not set these off.
Careful.
And then if we look around, we can see that there's some scrolls and stuff. But if we run over here, there's going to be explosions. We might get confused. So what we're going to do is we're going to dash and then enter turn-based mode.
I'll take that.
So we'll loot the 2 scrolls. We'll loot what's over in the backpack. And then we'll just head back out. And if we wanted to, we've got way more movement because we could dash again and run around. But we'll exit turn-based mode now, and we're going to go meet the myconids.
You are swallowed by a chorus of turbulent music. Through one creature sing many voices, the harmony of an entire collective.
Sovereign, she has come. She is here.
The choir fades. A single melody rises above the others, brassy and commanding.
I am sovereign.
You see a vision. Your lifeless body wrapped in fungal tendrils. The sovereign is threatening you.
State your purpose.
So we're just going to tell the truth. We'll take option 2 to say that we just want safe passage.
Fungal roots weave through your mind, seeking your true intent. Then the sovereign drones a new melody, cautious but welcoming.
I can mend neither skin nor spirit, but we still might commune. Descend to me. Let us speak in flesh.
The persistent music coaxes you forward. The sovereign expects you.
A nice thought, but we're not going to talk to him for quite a while. We will, however, come up and grab this waypoint. And the Wizard of Waterdeep updates because Gale's going to need one last magic item. We're going to come around the corner and we're going to talk to Blurg.
Ah, a visitor. You're a welcome sight. But let us observe the customs of the locals.
The scholar's brow tenses. His voice spills into your skull, the spores connecting mind to mind.
Blurg, proud member of the Society of Brilliance, at your service. Or perhaps not. Your mind is far more complex than that of the fungi.
And we're just going to ask if he's got anything that
I
he'd
do
like to trade.
enjoy a good bargain. If anything in my private collection is to your liking.
What we're looking for here is Melf's First Staff. And the reason we want it is that it adds a bonus to our spell save DC. We also can get the Psychic Spark, which adds an additional magic missile when we cast Magic Missile. So those are the 2 things that we want out of here. We can also get rid of some of the items that we have sitting around that we're not particularly interested in. We do want to keep one item to feed to Gale. So we can feed him the blazer of benevolence here, and you can see which ones Gale will take. There's a little note that says Gale can absorb this item's magic, destroying it. So we just need to keep one of those to hand him. And I would choose whichever one is the least valuable. We will never use Giant Breaker, probably never use Speedy Reply. Blurg has a pretty large amount of gold, so he's a good place to offload some of this stuff. We won't be using poisons, and we won't be using toxins. That's about it for now.
Very well. I have mushrooms to catalog.
All right. So at this point in time, we're going to pop back to camp and grab Gale because we're going to deal with the Bulette. And you can see he's suffering from his malady here.
My condition likes being ignored as little as I do. I must consume another artifact. And soon.
So we'll give Gale a magic artifact. And we'll just give him this blazer.
Thank you. Good gods. It hardly has any effect. Oh, Mistra, have mercy on us all. Listen, I need to speak to you, to all of you. It would be unconscionable of me to remain silent.
We'll say go on.
I might just be about to remedy that. You have to know who I was. You have to know who I really am. What I am is a walking shadow of the promise I once held. I'm what one might call a wizard prodigy. And from an early age could not only control the weave, but compose it. Much like a musician or a poet. Such was my skill that it earned me the attention of the mother of magic herself. The Lady of Mysteries. The goddess Mistra. She revealed herself to me and she became my teacher. In time she became my muse. And later even my lover.
So we'll just say option 1.
Oh, yes. We enjoyed each other's company. Body, mind, and soul. But even so, I desired more. You see, no matter how powerful a wizard we mortals can become, we never scratch more than the surface of the weave. Mistra keeps us in check. There are boundaries she doesn't let us cross. Yet, every time I was with her, I stood on the precipice, gazing into the wonders that lay beyond. I sought to cross her boundaries.
And we'll choose option 1 again.
I tried to convince her. I pouted. I pleaded. Swore my ambition was only to serve her better. She only smiled and told me to be contented. Inconceivable as it seems to me now, I shared a bed with a goddess, and yet I wasn't satisfied. So I sought to prove myself worthy to her instead. We come now to the crux of my folly. Shall I share the story behind it, or would you rather head straight to its sordid finale?
So we'll ask for all of it.
Very well. Here goes. Once upon a very long time ago, a mighty lord lived in a tower. A flying tower, to be precise. I'll save his history for another time, but the gist of it is that he sought to usurp the goddess of magic so that he could become a god himself. He almost managed, but not quite. His entire empire, Netheril, came crashing down around him as he turned to stone. The magic that was unleashed that day was phenomenal. Roiling like the prime chaos that outdates creation. Even the weave itself could not withstand the onslaught. It fractured, then shattered, and all magic was lost to the mortal realms. Until the day Mistra returned. She restored the weave, reuniting all its scattered shards. Or so I thought. Until, in the course of my studies, I learned of a book. A Netherese tome in which a piece of the fractured weave had been sealed beyond her reach. What if, I thought, what if, after all this time, I could return this lost part of herself to the goddess?
And we'll ask what the answer was.
The answer was to try. The outcome was to fail. I was certain that this deed of raw power, draped in romance, would convince Mistra to take me by the hand and welcome me into her hitherto forbidden domains. I was mistaken. I obtained the fabled book and took it into my study. As for what happened next... Here. Place your hand over my heart. Let me show you.
You feel the tadpole quiver as you realize Gale is letting you into the dark. You see through Gale's eyes, staring down the corridors of a dread memory. A book, bound, and suddenly opened. Inside there are no pages, only a swirling mass of blackest weave that pounces. Its teeth, its claws, it's unstoppable as it digs through and becomes part of you. And gods, is it ever hungry.
We'll ask how he's still alive.
Thankfully, the moment I absorbed the fragment wasn't enough to kill me outright. It was only the beginning. This Netherese blight, this orb, for lack of a better word, is balled up inside my chest. And it needs to be fed. As long as I absorb traces of the weave from potent enough sources, it remains quiet. Were it ever to fully destabilize, however.
Option 1.
I will erupt. I don't know the exact magnitude of the eruption, but given my studies of Netherese magic, I'd say even a fragment as small as the one I carry, it'd level a city the size of Waterdeep.
We'll ask if there's nothing we can do.
We might chance upon a king's collection of magical artifacts around the corner. We might cross paths with a miracle round the bend. Then again, we might not. All of this, it must feel like a betrayal. Say the word, and we'll part ways.
We'll take option 1.
That is a great relief. Oh, a great relief indeed. You truly are a soul that steals my own. From all my new rallied heart, I thank you. I thank you all. I understand if you stand against me. I'm humbled if you stand with me. Either way, I will do my best not to let you down. I stand at a precipice, but if you do not give up hope, neither shall I. I'll fight. I'll resist as long as I can. Now, even I am tired of the sound of my own voice. Let us venture forth.
All right. After all that, he's still not joined the party, so we're going to talk to him again.
How can I help?
Join me.
Would that I could. But your entourage is full. You'll need to make room for me first.
And we'll have him take Karlak's place.
Back in the thick of things at last. Oh, how exciting.
And he's leveled up. We're going to go ahead and level him up now. All right, for cantrips, we're going to take Bone Chill. This is an important cantrip to take because Bone Chill will stop regeneration, which is what we're going to use to slow down the lava elemental later on. For spells, nothing really particularly important. We're going to take Misty Step and sort of checking my notes here. I think Shatter. We could also take Scorching Ray, which is useful if we're going to do hijinks for the Hat of Fire Acuity that we'll pick up in Act 2. We find scrolls of all of these spells sort of throughout the game, so we can learn with Gale additional spells. It's not really critical to pick anything particular unless it's a spell that doesn't drop from scrolls, like Counterspell. We're going to check our prepared spells. As long as we've got Thunder Wave and Leap equipped, we're probably okay. And for our feet, we're going to take Alert. All right, so the main character and Gale are going to head to the Selûnite outpost. And we're going to have Shadowheart pop back to camp. All right, so with the main character and Gale in tow, we're going to walk over to the front and access the lever to open the gate. And come outside. There's one last oil barrel that we can loot over here. All right, so this is a good chance if you're not playing on honor mode also to save your game. So we'll split the party, and we're going to have Gale equip Melf's first staff. Now, as it happens, we've got a portent die that's low enough that we can force the bullet to fail its save against Thunderwave even without the staff, but we can get our DC as high as 14. This is a Constitution roll, and the bullet has a +5 to its Constitution save. Right, so if we can force the number to be any number below that, so for this it would be 8, any portent die lower than 8 would cause it to fail. All right, so we're going to cast Enhanced Leap on Gale.
Looking ahead.
We're going to cast Featherfall with our main character. If Gale knows Featherfall, it's fine if he casts it as well.
And you shall find me.
And with our main character, we're also going to cast Longstrider on Gale, just to give him a little extra movement. Now we're going to jump basically right down to this corner, and that's going to cause the bullet to show up, and we're going to lock it into combat. We're the main character, we're going to crouch, although we're so far out of combat it doesn't really matter.
One with the weave.
So we're going to exit turn-based mode with Gale. And we'll run over here a little bit just to give ourselves a little bit of clearance. And so we've got this thing and it's locked in combat with us. So we're going to have our main character, who is still under Featherfall, but we could cast it again if we needed to, jump down behind it. Right, so you can ignore the section where we're going to drop explosives and this kind of whole zone if you're not playing in honor mode. This is an honor mode specific issue where the bullet has shredding scales. Right, so let's take a quick look at that. So we've got diamond scales and shredding scales. Diamond scales is our problem. So it's got 100 temporary hit points, but while it's got them, it cannot be moved. So that's what that ground and condition is. It means that the Thunderwave's not going to move it when we cast it. So we need to get rid of that 100 hit points. Diamond Scales also says that damage less than 15 won't affect it. So we need to do more than 15 points of damage. The oil barrels that we have, those do 6d6 points of damage. So that is enough damage to do 15 if the creature fails its save. So we need to do 100 points on 66 on average. So what we're going to need is about 12 barrels of oil. If we've got more, we could use more. So we're going to pop back to Shadowharden Camp, and go to our repository. And if we want, we can even add a little more. We also have another character, right? So we can have Lizelle come in if there would need to be additional explosions. You know, I've had such bad luck with the Zentarium encounter earlier. I'm going to add a 13th one just in case. So we'll grab all of them. If we send them individually, we have to place them individually. If we grab them all at once, we can send them all to the main character at one time. We're really overburdened. Now, for line of sight, we're okay putting things down as long as we don't land stuff inside of its sight range, or we don't pass inside of its sight range. So we'll go ahead and sort by weight. That's going to be all these barrels, and we're just going to set them down. The Firewine barrels do slightly less damage, and so will not really work for this. It's possible for them to do enough damage, but not as likely.
Free for the taking.
All right.
These boots have seen everything.
We can use whatever we want to set this off. We could use Alchemist Fire or an Arrow of Fire, whatever floats your boat here. I'll just use an arrow. And here we go. And you can see the Bulette rolled pretty poorly on its saves, so it's actually almost dead. Sometimes it will make several more of the saves, or the damage will be a little lower, and it won't be. As long as the shield goes down in honor mode, you're fine. Now, this is the point where if you were not playing honor mode, this is where you would start. You didn't need to do any of this explosion stuff. We're just going to have Gale run up and kill it. So basically, we move to between the legs. And you can jump this distance if you don't want to get burned. We're going to click on Thunderwave. And where this bullet lands when it first starts, there is an area where we can throw it off the ledge with a Thunderwave. And right there, where we can see the blue arc, is where we're going for. And this can be a bit finicky. Right there. So we can see it's going off the edge. Cast Thunderwave. And we'll supply the portent die that makes it fail. And that's it. There goes our Bulette. On honor mode or not on honor mode, same strategy minus the explosion. All right, so that's it for this video, and I will catch you in the next one.